Coming up on FTC Recap, the Mti Match Schedule is going to be released live here tonight. We've got headlines, a breakdown of the most exciting matches that will be happening at MTI. All this and more are coming up on FTC Recap.
Giving you a voice.
Making it loud our own way.
Welcome to the fun.
We would like to thank our friends at Stryker for supporting fun so we can continue to make content for you. Stryker makes some of the most revolutionary medical equipment and is a big supporter of FIRST and its participants. If you are looking for an internship or career that supports you being in FIRST, check out careers.stryker.com to learn more. If you're on an FRC or FTC team and you're currently meeting safely in person and have a functional robot, we'd love to have you on our Behind the Bots or Behind the Bumper segments. Go ahead and reach out to us on any of our social channels, on Discord, or send us an email at admin@firstupdatesnow.com, and let's get your team scheduled to be on First Updates Now.
Welcome to FTC Recap, where you get the breakdown and discussion of what's going on in the FTC community. From First Updates Now, I'm Ishan, and joining me are Peter, Ingrid, and Egan. Let's get right into the headlines for today. Just over a week ago, FTC released Game Manual Part 1 for the Fright Frenzy competition. There was both a remote and traditional event version, which is not a surprise since they announced that there will still be a remote option in the future. Some of the changes include not having a human player, the driver hub made by Rev being legal, a team scoring element coming back like they had in Skystone and Rover Ruckus, and the Judges Award being renamed to the Judges' Choice Award. One of the most controversial changes was the manual saying that compatible sensors from any manufacturer may only be connected to the ITC, digital I/O, and analog ports on the Rev Control Hub or Expansion Hub. They actually updated the game manual today, you can see on the screen, to include the encoder port, which means that an odometry could be used and motor encoders could be used. And so it was great that FIRST responded real quick to this. I know there was an email sent to FIRST saying that, hey, this is not okay. We need the encoder ports. And so I'm glad that they were able to respond to that real quick and make sure that everything is going to be functional for teams. Any thoughts on the game manual that you all had?
Well, I was just surprised at how quickly they responded to the email and made the adjustment to the game manual, personally. I didn't expect that the change would be made until the forums were open, and then that would be like the first question asked. But I'm glad they did make that change, 100%.
I'm a big fan of the team scoring element coming back. That was a high point in in Rover Ruckus. We got our team scoring element signed by a bunch of people at Houston. So
that's really cool. I always like to see all the innovative ideas on how you can make your team scoring element work for you and not just be some pretty piece that you use once. I mean, you make it work for you. And so there's some really innovative ideas out there, but also some just really cool ones. I saw, I think, a rubber duck that looked like a tank at the same time. Like, they're really cool looking.
Ingrid, I know you had some thoughts on the human player. What were you thinking about that, especially from the perspective of a referee?
I really liked the human player aspect. I think it gave a few more students on a team the ability to go and be more involved on the field and such, primarily like your younger students that are on the team, and have them get a feel for being on the alliance and in the action. And also just it added another element to be mindful of and added a complexity. But it was difficult, especially when you start out the season going through and having a separate set of rules just for that one person. And so it's pros and cons. I hope to see it back again sometime. But I thought maybe this year, considering Freight Frenzy and now you're moving packages, maybe they could be the delivery guy somehow. I don't know. So I'm kind of just kind of surprised it's not there.
Yep. All right, let's move on to our next discussion topic.
Yeah, so this Monday, we found out First Global Team USA is going to be represented by 8565 Technic Bots from Plano, Texas. And while they certainly earned it, they won the Inspire Award at North Texas Regional and third Inspire at the Texas Cup. It does stray from the pattern we've seen in the past of them offering that slot to alternating Inspire winners from Worlds. So teams like Brainstem, Super 7, both are Inspire winners that reportedly weren't offered the chance for Team USA this year. but still, huge congrats to TechnicBots. We'll have to see how the Team USA picks go in the future, if they're going to go back to alternating worlds teams, or what this new sort of selection process looks like. Like, what do they look for in a team, and all of that.
As someone who was on a Team USA, like, it's really prestigious to be on that team, and right, they gave it to the Inspire Award winners because they know that they'll represent the US well, and B, as kind of like a reward for winning Inspire, right? You put in all this hard work and you're rewarded with the chance to represent your team. I wish that First and First Global were a little bit more transparent about how Team USA is picked, because the North Texas Regional, awesome event, very hard to compete in, but it's also one of 50 regional events in the US. And so understanding how that one team was picked versus, I don't know, 49 other teams would have been nice to have, I think, in the FTC community and the First General community as a whole. Other things that I thought was, right, Brainstem and Super 7, they both have won Inspire, and unlike FRC, where Chairman's Award, right, they're invited to Worlds for the rest of the time that they sustain. You win Inspire at FTC, nothing happens, right? You get the banner, and it's great because you can use that banner to get connections and stuff like that, but you don't get anything tangible. And so I think that First Global was a way for them to thank the Inspire Award winners for what they've done. And I do wish that Brainstem and Super 7 did get a chance, at least at one point, to experience that.
Okay, and before we reveal the MTI match schedule, don't forget about our very own MTI Fantasy provided by First Updates Now. Teams will have up to $200 to choose as many teams on the field as they want. It's 5 points for a win, 2 for a tie, 0 for a loss, and you'll see some points if the team you've picked ends up in the elimination rounds. Looking at the list of teams, there are some definitely overvalued picks, definitely some undervalued teams. Up to you to make the best picks within the budget. I've already made my picks, which to be clear are the winning picks because I'm going to win. I got 4th in Texas Cup FRC Pick'em, so I'm basically an expert at this already. But if you think you have better picks, then make them on the MTI 2021 Fantasy Pick'em Google form, and more discussions on this after we go through the match schedule.
Yeah, I think we've all made picks, and we'll reveal what our plus some additional statistics based on the match schedule for who people are picking. There's some teams that are being picked a lot, some teams that are not being picked at all, and who might be some sleeper teams to scoop up with those cheap bucks.
Definitely a lot of thought going into these picks too.
Yep, that's going to end our headlines. Let's move into our next section called Let's Discuss That. We're now going to talk about the MTI match schedule, what everybody's here for, and reveal it live on air. The way the MTI match schedule works is teams are placed into 3 groups, where each group has 4 teams. Each team will play 3 matches with and against the other teams in their groups for a total of 9 matches. Teams will be in one group Saturday morning, one group Saturday afternoon, and one group Sunday morning for their 3 respective groups. This will be followed by a snake draft alliance selection and normal finals matches, just like they would be played at a regular competition, best 2 out of 3, and semifinals. Let's jump into some of the groups from Saturday morning.
Okay. In our 9:40 a.m. Field 1 group, we have Team 3658, the Bosons, International Team 14270, Quantum Robotics, and another international team in 17713, Delta Robotics, and our very own Rookie All-Star of the Year, 18438, Wolfpack Machina. And I'll just start with them. They've been a remote powerhouse all season, but this is their first in-person event, and their first in-person matches, just like not even for the season, just ever as a rookie team, right? So, and while our OPR base predictor has them winning like all of the matches, they're being played remote. There are a lot of like gremlins that will come up, I expect, once you make that switch into in-person play. So there's going to be, some level of randomness. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have 14270 Quantum, who have competed at MTI before, as well as competing in person at the Russian National Championships. But at that championship, they didn't perform too great. They were just semifinalists there, not making it to the finals. And with Bosons and Delta Robotics, I could see them both being teams who are willing to play a bit of defense, especially the Bosons, and maybe some more of a supporting role for both of those teams in these matches. Bosons have a very unique robot with a same sidle indexer, so hopefully that will allow them to play a lot of defense and shoot quickly at the same time. And I'll just go ahead and say that Delta Robotics is a team that I haven't looked at the most. If there's someone else who wants to add on to that, feel free. But I think all of those teams are going to have some really competitive, good matches. And you guys have any other further thoughts? And Tyler, do you have something you want to bring up? Okay.
Yep. So like you said, Wolfpack Machina, right? Their season, if it ended today, right? Super successful season. One of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen out of an FTC team, setting the world record and holding it throughout the end of the season, right? 707 points. Nobody's touched that. I have a hard time believing that they're going to be able to hold up at MTI in person because of how experienced the other teams are and just how different competing in person is compared to competing virtually. That being said, I'm rooting for them. I want them, if they can sweep this, they definitely deserve to with their robot. I just want to see how well they can hold up. Talking about Delta, I looked into them a bit. They were having some issues with their intake in March when they competed. Hopefully they'll get that sorted out, and that should make them a pretty good picker that can sweep up the front zone when they go to the opposite alliance to maybe play some defense. They've got a pretty bulky robot, looks pretty beefy and strong. So I could definitely see them playing defense and stealing from the opponent's rings. All right. In the 10:20 a.m. field one group, we've got team 989 Cruise Control, 8719 Quantum Leap, 5064 Aperture Science, and team 12835 Pixelated. I feel old saying this, but this is an old school group of FTC teams, right? 12835 is the newest team, and I think their first year was Relic Recovery or something like that. Pixelated. So again, a bunch of old school teams. They've all been to Worlds. They've all been battle tested before. Cruise Control and Pixelated have played in person this year. Both of them have won every single event they've played at, which is exactly what I would expect out of them and any team going to MTI. It's interesting because both Aperture Science and Quantum Leap have rear-sided intakes. So that's going to change up the strategy on how they want to play those two teams, especially when they're paired together. One of them is going to have to do a 180 to pick up rings from in front of the goal. Pixelated's got a front-sided intake, and Cruise Control's got a dual-sided. So that gives Cruise Control just the versatility edge that I think is going to be able to let them sweep this. In their New Jersey State Championship, they had some problems with accuracy, but I think they will be able to tune those out and solve that before MTI. OPR prediction has Pixelated going undefeated, but OPR doesn't tell the whole story when it comes to playing in person because Cruise Control has a higher in-person OPR than Pixelated, but Pixelated's virtual OPR is higher than Cruise Control's. So, right, you can see already here, this OPR factor that we're using for a lot of our statistics, it holds up for virtual events, but it could completely collapse when it comes into in person. Any thoughts on these four teams?
Yeah, I think you're sleeping on Aperture Science and Quantum Leap, Ishan, is what I think. I think Aperture Science, we haven't seen them for a long while, and I expect some changes to their robot to help them be able to compete more at this event. Same with Quantum Leap. They will probably have fixed some of the issues they were having, I know, at States. But I am, very looking forward to seeing Cruise Control and, if they can able to replicate some of the same success they had at New Jersey.
Egan, Ingrid, anything to add?
No.
I mean, they've got an awful lot of experience. So just game strategy wise, they're going to be able to think on their feet probably a lot quicker than some of these newer teams, just because they've been there. They've done this in multiple years. And so I think that's really going to help them out an awful lot.
Awesome. Ingrid, want to move on to the next set of teams?
Sure. So on field 2 at 10:20 a.m. also, we have 16896 Black Forest Robotics, 12808 Rev Amped Robotics, 8644 the Brainstormers, and 12376 Yoke. All four of these teams have had varying experiences over the years, as well as varying experiences this season. So starting off with 12808 Rev Amped and 8644 the Brainstormers, both of these teams have been solely playing in remote events, as well as they're both Think Award winners. So they're still thinking on their feet for these different kinds of things throughout the season. They have had quite a lot of solo practice on a half field, but Brainstormers they've broke sub 600 by themselves a couple of times on their last event that they did. So they might be somebody to take a look at. Then you have 16896 Black Forest Robotics. They have had a taste of a live event once, and they're ready to come back for some more. They were in their April event, they were a first pick alliance winner. And it's also no joke that 12376 Yoke has had quite a lot of live play. And so from being the design winner to consistently being on a winning alliance, they won't be scrambling around for this event.
I appreciate
Awesome.
the egg pun. And I agree. Yoke is like one of the most underrated teams here, I think. And I think having that live event experience, being able to, they've shown like they're able to like scrap with a lot of teams. I'm looking forward to how they do, especially in that matchup where they are with a Utah regional friend in Black Forest Robotics.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, really cool set of teams there. Black Forest is one that I'm super excited for. They said that they were going to automate most of their robot. We'll see how that holds up, especially now that the world knows it because they came on and talked about their automation.
So they're going to hold them to it, huh?
Yeah. So we'll have to see how that heads out. Egan, want to move on to the next set of teams?
Sure. Yeah. So on field one at 11 o'clock, we've got appearances from some teams. We got 7303 Robo Avatars, 8393 Brainstem, 12599 Overcharged, and 7244 Out of the Box. So again, these are all very experienced teams. Out of the Box was on the winning alliance at MTI in 2019, and I don't think they've missed an MTI appearance since
they have
the competition. Yeah. Brainstem, they were Worlds Inspire winners. Overcharged, they're technically the youngest team on the field here, but they've got consistent top tier performance from not only this season but past seasons. Robo Avatars in particular have blocking arms to knock rings down under 18 inches that don't believe have seen in-person play. Brainstem's the biggest scorer in this group. They've had a personal recorded best of 623 with Out of the Box trailing pretty close, but still pretty far at 573 at their Pennsylvania State champs. So it should be a pretty close matchup between those two teams with the help of Robo Avatars and Overcharged. But on the one match with Out of the Box and Brainstem, it's looking to be a clean sweep with those two. They've got some pretty solid scores to come up against.
Yeah. So Egan, I'll just say I have seen the remote sticks being used in person twice, once by Cruise Control and once by a team in Texas. But then more importantly, I'd like to say that don't sleep on Robo Avatars at all. I don't think they're a team that should be sneezed at. They have something I really like, which is just a very consistent robot that will do the same thing over again with a very high-scoring autonomous. Sounds a bit like a team I know myself. So I think that they have a chance of matching up against the two. I don't think it's fair to say that there's going to be a sweep with Out of the Box and Brainstem on the same alliance, is my opinion. I don't know.
We'll have to see about that. I think I challenged that one.
Okay.
Brainstem and Out of the Box are from Pennsylvania. They're going to practice together beforehand, right?
Yeah.
The fact that they're paired together, like, they went 1-2 in Pennsylvania State Champs. They've gotten 1-2 at every single competition that they've been at. They haven't played in person, but they have a history of playing together in person at the Pennsylvania State Champs at previous events. I like they're gonna match up beforehand. I would like to see them together in a line selection. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I think they have a really good shot and they have chemistry already.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to end up our match analysis for the first Saturday morning matches. There's 4 other sets of teams that we didn't talk about, but you got to see on our screen. Before we move on to Saturday afternoon, we've got a hype video for you showcasing the MTI teams.
This is how we roll, man. Some rock, some win, some 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 win, man. Some rock, some win, some roll, man. Some rock, some win, some roll. Some rock, some win, some roll, man. Some rock, some win, some win. Some rock, some win, some win, some roll, man. Some rock, some win, some roll, man. Some rock, some win, some roll, man. Some rock, some win, some roll, man.
All right, let's move on to our Saturday afternoon matches. Ingrid, do you want to take it away?
Sure. So on field 1 at 1:10 p.m., we have 516 Gears of Fire, 12-6-11 Tech Nova, 17-7-13 Delta Force, and 18-2-46 Delta V. After multiple remote events, these teams are ready to participate in some good old-fashioned cooperation on being live. 516 Gears of Fire have a smooth intake conveyor system and a swift shooter that allows for an effective tele-op and high goal points, as well as a flawless autonomous to hit each of the 3 power shots quickly. Something that's really interesting is whenever you go from remote to the traditional events, you may have the most flawless autonomous, but now you're going to put some other robots on the field. Is it going to be that flawless? That's what I'm curious about. I really liked Gears of Fire autonomous, but we'll see how they make their change in strategy for autonomous. So 12-6-11 Tech Nova has 2 intake systems. So one of them is in the front for general ring intake during your tele-op, as well as there's one in the back that they use to suck up the rings from the ring starter stack during autonomous. So I thought that was really interesting on their robot. So maybe they get stuck in a position. They can take rings from either side. Makes them versatile. 18-2-46 Delta V has a swift shooter with varying speeds that allows the robot to shoot from diverse distances from the high goal. and different power shots. So I think that's going to make them marketable, not shooting in the same spot all the time. So I'm thinking that this team is going to pair well with 17-7-13 Delta Force, particularly during in-game. I'm betting that Delta Force is going to take care of the wobble goal deliveries and maybe a few power shots, while Delta V is just going to snag a few more high goals. They're just going to shoot, shoot, shoot.
Yeah, I think Delta V has really been good at being flexible in terms of distance position for shooting. Having consistency there is really important so that you can sort of move around and go wherever you want. You don't have to worry about having other robots on the field to avoid necessarily as much.
So and just to touch on to the autonomous thing, I know Aperture Science put out a thing basically saying like preferred autonomous paths to avoid collision in the MTI channel on the FTC Discord. Whether every team follows that is to be determined, of course, but part of the reason this is well in advance of the event is so that teams can sync their autonomouses now and not later. So I'm inclined to believe that there will be less autonomous collisions than expected, at the very least.
Right. Also, with the match schedule being released a week and a half ahead of time, right? Yes. You can talk to every single one of your partners and figure out how you're going to beat the other two teams or score the highest, because ranking is the highest. One question I did have, can Technova intake from the back during teleop? Have you seen them do that?
I haven't seen them do that. I've only watched a few videos on them, so I think it might be possible that they could, but I couldn't confirm for sure.
Right. I know a lot of teams built their dual-sided intake just to pick up that starter stack during autonomous, and I'm assuming that's what they use theirs for. So I'm interested to see if they'll be able to turn on both to get it to work.
It could be helpful, because what if you have something that messes up on one of them? You need the other one to work for you, or else you're just down a robot.
Awesome.
Hey, chat real quick. One thing that just mentioned since we brought up match schedule, please keep in mind that this match schedule is only predicated on if all the teams show up. So if a team doesn't show up for some reason, things happen. A lot of us are flying in for things. Stuff can happen. Match schedule will be reran for something like that. So please keep that in mind as we're preparing for the event.
Yeah.
Egan, want to move on to the next set?
Yeah, moving in to field 2 at 150. We've got 12808 revamped, 8719 Quantum Leap, 7303 Robo Avatars, and 12518 Elman Robotics. So revamped and Quantum Leap both have a linkage indexer for shooting. So they've got some pretty quick cycle times there. And with Peter, what you were saying about Robo Avatars being a strong, solid scorer in the matches, in this group we've got them predicted to win all 3 of their matches in this group. We'll see how that turns out. But Robo Avatars are looking to be the strongest consistent scorer in this group.
Yeah, one of the teams that I'm interested to see how they evolve is Elman Robotics. They competed at the Chesapeake Championship. I think they were averaging around 250. Don't quote me on that. They had since March to completely rebuild and do whatever. But they were also a last-minute add to MTI, so I don't know how much time they got to rebuild. Really interested to see. They're a wild card for me. I don't know what they're going to be able to pull out, but in the past, I know whenever they rebuild, I've competed against them for 4 years now. They always pull out a significantly better robot when they rebuild. It's not like, oh, we didn't get time to tune it, we made it in the last minute. Their rebuilds are always really good. So I'm hoping that they're able to pull that together for MTI. Definitely one of the sleeper teams that I have at this competition. All right, okay. Peter?
Yeah. All right. At Field 1, 230, we have a group of teams I'm really excited to talk about. 5064 Aperture Science, 8644 Brainstormers, and 12599 Overcharge Robotics, and 19794 Wizards.exe. All of these teams have an extensive history, so tested at a high level. 2 former Worlds winners, Worlds Inspire winner. I think this group is also notable as we have 2 pass-through bots in Aperture and Overcharged, both of whom can shoot very quickly, and also 2 dual intake bots with 9794 and 8644 Brainstormers. And of course, Brainstormers also have their turret and their rolling ring intake. And they're probably the favorites to win here. They have that high shooter, they have that turret which can adjust to defense. But I am looking forward to seeing the 6-wheel drive versus turret matchup, with 12599 having that 6-wheel drive Windexer. And maybe they can play a bit of a nuisance spot here on 8644. And I can see 9794 potentially playing some bully type defense. But I'm sure Ashan would know a bit more about that than I do. So any idea on how these teams will match up?
I'll let others take it away before I say anything.
I'm not really clued into what the Wizards are doing this season.
So
why don't you tell us?
Wizards haven't rebuilt, but they've got a big, heavy robot. So that's definitely going to let them push teams around, right? A lot of teams think you need a 6-wheel drop center or a 6-wheel drive to push other teams around. And with a robot like this, you really don't. A Mecanum drive works just as well because it's all about how much friction you can get on those tiles. So I don't know how they're going to actually play this match. I haven't talked to them about any of this. I haven't shown them the match schedule or anything, but I think they're going to have some fun playing some defense and figuring out auto strategies. I know they've been in the basement for the past week trying to put together like 7 different autos.
Get that basement grind.
Yep.
Hopefully it works out.
All right. And then finally, we've got at 2:30 on field 2, we've got team 12376 Yolk, team 7244 Out of the Box, team Pixelated, which I talked about earlier, and team 13669 Raider Robotics. We talked about Pixelated and Yolk earlier and how they've had in-person experience, but Yolk did have 3 qualification matches under 100 points at the Utah State Championship, which was a little bit concerning. I think they can get it back together for this MTI, but just something to watch out for. I think Pixelated will have the in-person edge just because of that. But it'll be interesting to see if Raider Robotics and Out of the Box get some in-person practice before the event. They're both from PA. Out of the Box got second at the PA State Championship. Raider Robotics got third. Again, they have a tight-knit group in Pennsylvania, and I think they could definitely get an advantage just by practicing with and against each other at home. Out of the Box, I think, is going to sweep this. They're gonna take all 3 matches just because they have that veteran experience. They've also got a super high shooter, so they don't have to worry about getting shots blocked. They've got pretty solid intake. This is the robot that was built to play in person, and I think they're really going to be able to use that with their veteran advantage to take the win here.
Out of the Box is my personal favorite going into MTI. Love.
Do you have them winning?
I haven't put that much thought into it, that much like into the total match schedule, but I think they'll definitely do very well.
Awesome. All right. Before we move on to Sunday, do we have anything else we need to talk about in this set of Saturday afternoon matches? All right. Egan, want to take it away with our first Sunday match?
Yeah. So first thing on Sunday, 8:30 in the morning, field 1, we see 6133 The Nuts, 18253 Beach Bots, 9889 Cruise Control, and 13669 Raider Bots. So Nuts have some pretty solid, consistent shooting. Cycle times for shooting and intaking are pretty consistent through this group. It's maybe not as fast as we see with like Out of the Box or Brainstem, but it should be some stiff competition within the group. Cruise Control again has the in-person experience for this group. So they should be able to provide some leadership for all of the other teams that have only been able to compete remote. But I mean, all of the teams have pretty similar performance when it comes to cycle times there.
Yeah.
I'll say that with beach bots, I do believe that they have rebuilt a bit for this event. So I think they are going to start to work on having like a faster intake, having a higher shooter. I expect to see, I don't know if we'll see an amazing performance, but we'll definitely see something interesting. And it'll be interesting to see how they match up with the other teams.
Yeah, I think interesting with the Nuts. Nuts have been around forever again. They've been to Worlds like every year that I've been there, which is absolutely crazy. I think their veteran advantage is going to give them an edge. Cruise Control I have as one of my sleepers for this competition, right? Like you haven't heard that much about them. They were in our top 10 in Skystone, weren't in our top 10 this year, but I thought they definitely deserved to be in the top 10. One of the top teams that I have seen play just in general. All right, want to move on to the next set, Ingrid?
Yep. So on field 2 at 9:10 a.m. Sunday morning, we have 12-8, 35 pixelated, 16-4, AlphaGo, 8300 Pyro Eagles, and 18-19 Primitive Data. So let's start off with this rookie team, 18-19 Primitive Data. They just jumped right into this FTC season this year, and they've done pretty well for themselves for a rookie team. The robot has a really sleek design, and it's got a hopper turret combo on top that it looks very sleek to me. I rather enjoy it. 16-4, Alphago has had one more year of experience, and they got the opportunity to participate in 2 hybrid events and are Think Award winners as well, and also Innovate Award winners. So Alphago has, they also have a turret design for their shooter, and they can load either in the front or the back, whichever way it's turreting. And I think that makes it to where you can load on the go really quickly, no matter what direction you're facing on the field. So then we have 8300 Pyro Eagles. I think they're going to go nicely with the AlphaGo team with just their efficient strategies. Pyro Eagles make sure that they use all the rings during autonomous, and they can pick up wobble gold prior to end game, and they just drive around with that. Just that way they can save a few seconds. So I think they're going to pair pretty well with it, with AlphaGo. And I think based on our OPR match predictor, it looks like 12-8, 35 pixelated will pair rather well with 18-19 Primitive Data. So we'll see in match 3 which duo has the best combo. Will it be pixelated and Primitive Data, or will it be Pyro Eagles and AlphaGo? I don't know.
So yeah, I mean 18-19, they're more of like a quote unquote rookie team.
Yeah.
They all have experience, like multiple years of experience in FTC. But nonetheless, like as an upstart team, it's still very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, what you said about the wobble goal, like grabbing it during the game, just reminded me of like the Texas Cup. The ruling that like if the wobble is not fully in the zone, you can snag it. I don't know if we'll see any of that, but I really hope that we do. That'd be really funny if another team pulls a snag move like happened in the Texas Cup.
It really depends. As a referee, I could step in and say it really depends on the situation and where the wobble goal is at the time. But if it's completely inside your target zones, it's safe. They can't knock that sucker out unless it's by accident. But just something to keep in mind. But it also, you get an advantage by just driving around with it on you. But, just different things to think about.
This group is interesting because you got 2 turret bots, right? And when they get paired together, that's going to leave Pixelated and Pyro Eagles, which are both front side intakes. And so I think you'll see the real battle between standard meta, which is just pick from the front, outtake the back. Wait, no, never mind. Pyro Eagles is a backside intake. My bad. But you'll see 1 front side and 1 backside versus 2 turrets. That's going to be just a fun match to watch because you'll have to see how 2 turrets are able to play with each other. If you can get a turret shooting from the opposite side of the field, then I think the turrets take it.
I think
I
when
think
they
this
go
is going to
against
be
each
the
other,
match that I want to watch. Of all the matches, this is the one that I want to watch.
when they go against each other, I hope they just go to the opposite sides of the field and just shoot across and just
Yes.
see if they get a ring hit. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
Play
Well,
some good performance from permanent data.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
Peter, want to move on to the next set?
Yes. So in our Field 1 at 9:50 a.m. group, we have a very interesting group of teams. 18438 Wolfpack Machina, 8393 Brainstorm Robotics, 14481 Don't Blink, and 12376 Yoke. We all talked about Wolfpack Machina earlier. We also have another remote powerhouse veteran team in Brainstorm Robotics. And I'm interested into how these two teams play together. They both have similar capabilities. Perhaps Brainstem, this might be a batch where they want to use their like secondary jewel intake. But we can, of course, count out both the Yoke and Don't Blink. Yoke was a state winner. Don't Blink was a state finalist. And they also both have more in-person gameplay experience than our two remote powerhouse teams. And again, Yoke, very underrated, can be a real menace in person, I feel like. So during that second match, Don't Blink, will the two remote powerhouses come out on top, or will they have egg on their face? I wrote that out. I'm really proud of it.
With Yoke, do you think they can play defense?
We'll see how Wolfpack Machina plays it, right? Especially with they've just had their like big sweeper style intake, which has seemed to work in person for 16896. But it's possible they can sort of like make some push motions, and they sort of somewhat shut down 16896 at that Utah competition, kind of a little bit. We'll see how it goes. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll also have to see if Yoke and Brainstem are able to hit the $1 grand mark on the points there from two of the highest scores pretty much we have in MTI. It'll be interesting to see how high the score really can go.
Yep. All right, and then in the last match that we're going to cover, it's going to be Field 2 at 9:50 a.m. We've got Team 7172 Technical Difficulties, 17713 Delta Force, 8644 the Brainstormers, and 7303 Robo Avatars. The only team we haven't talked about so far is Team 7172 Technical Difficulties. They played at the Texas State Championship and were finalists, so they know how to play in person. Peter, were you with them, against them?
No, we never played against them. They were in the other division.
Other division.
Yeah. But they did lose in the event finals. Yeah.
Right. But they made it there.
Yeah.
Their front side intake, it seems like a solid pickup mechanism. They should be able to pick up clusters of rings, which I think a lot of is going to happen, right? If a ring bounces out of the return rack, hits a robot, hits the floor, it might pile up, and then they'll be able to sweep those all up. Three out of the 4 teams in this group have scored over 500 points, with Delta Force being the only that hasn't. And I don't think they're a team to sleep on, just because they haven't competed since March. They've had time to fix up their intake so that they can pick up better, and they can dial in that shooter just to get it a little bit more accurate. I think the Brainstormers may let their partner run a wobble goal auto in this round, just because they'll be able to see how their partners have been running auto in the past. And if somebody's hit a 6-for-6 auto up till this match, you let your partner run a wobble goal auto, you run the bounce back auto yourself. That way you can maximize points and do it in the quickest amount of time so your opponents can't mess with you. That might be a strategy that Brainstormers could employ, especially since they'll have that match data from previous matches of their partners running auto. The match predictor has no team sweeping, with Team 17713 Delta Force losing all of their matches. But match 2 is going to be very close, according to the match predictor. There's an OPR difference of under 2 points. I think, personally, Brainstormers is going to go undefeated, but anything could really happen with this group.
And yeah, we're talking in like the end of the days when, I think maybe the early matches we won't see that much defense played. Teams are just going to try to rack up their RP for ranking. But towards the end of the day, you can actually be playing for a direct position in the rankings. And this could be a match where some defense is played. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yep.
So one of the things
Sounds
that I
good.
mentioned, by the way, everybody, is there was some chats in the FTC Discord in regards to rule changes and that sort of thing. We haven't. I just asked them there. Nobody said that anything officially has been posted. So other than what they said and how it's been interpreted, we're gonna wait to discuss it here on Fun until we see like an actual posting by MTI. So we can have an official thing, so we're not trying to just completely speculate on a rule change, because we don't want that to be misinterpreted by anybody that is watching this right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, and make sure to read the game manual if you have any questions. I know these refs personally. They are very cognizant and listen to the teams when they have rules that are specifically supported by the game manual. With that being said, do you want to talk about our fantasy draft, Tyler?
Yeah, we're going to be getting into that just a little bit and talking about, for those who really want to get a bit more onto crazy speculation, crazy strategies that go into things like that. We're going to be jumping into that. Real quick, want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Striker, for helping support First Updates Now and making allowing us to make content. We really do appreciate that. So if you haven't seen Striker, I mean, apparently you haven't watched any of our shows, but Striker, real quick, leading medical manufacturer out there. I just saw another YouTuber create some stuff about how just bullshit they are on Striker as a company, how happy their employees have been, especially people looking for internships and co-ops. They've been doing such a phenomenal job. So if that's something you're looking for, make sure you go check out careers.striker.com. I can see just some of the really cool stuff they do in the, like, they have RFI, I was gonna say R3D, RFID gauze pads and stuff like that, like just really cool sponges with them and stuff. Like, it's pretty incredible what technology they are putting out. So we're always happy to have Striker helping support us so we can create more content for you. So make sure you go check them out, careers.stryker.com for, of course, your internship, co-op, first career, or if you're looking for a career later in life and you want a company that actually supports you being in first. Go check them out. So fantasy draft, let's talk a little about that. We're going to bring up, you saw a little bit of the predictor we brought up near the end. So a few things to talk about. It is just OPR based, which means that, is it going to be wrong? Absolutely. There are going to be many things that are wrong with all this stuff. So no matter what somebody has, if anybody gets it exactly perfect, I'll buy you a very large cookie. So yeah, we're going to be jumping in, just talking about some of this predictor on here that I'm going to ask the hosts. Talk a little bit about what they predicted as well too. So we're going to be bringing this up on screen. I know we'll see if we make this a little bit larger. So bear with me here because there's a lot to read on this stuff, and not teams, but it's a little hard. There we go. Sometimes see. So we got all the predictions on here. So we took one thing that we did is we took it based on wins. We didn't take it based on the cumulative score for things. So just please keep that in mind that it's going to be different because of something like that. But let's break down some stats for you so you can see a little bit more. So we have, by the way, from undefeated teams on here. If you're looking at FTC Discord, the two teams that our match predictor is predicted is 83-93 and 61-75, getting 9 wins. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to be the number one seed necessarily. We didn't do the calculations. I can do that later for based on cumulative scores for things, but very interesting to see where that lines up based on their qual schedules. Going all the way down, it says nobody's going to lose a match. I don't know. What do you think? Is it? I think it's quite possible with 9 matches, nobody loses all their matches. Like, is that possible? Guys? What do you think?
If teams
I
are
think
going
it's
on,
possible.
if teams are going undefeated, then I don't think there is a way for. There is a way. It's going to be hard to lose all your matches with the way you're going to be paired up and against every single team that you're playing with, right? Because sure, one team might absolutely destroy you, but then the next second they're playing with you and they're going to help you get to get that win.
Right.
That's true. But I mean, you can also, I've seen teams that are really highly ranked usually, and they've just had the worst day ever. It could be how things were matched up. Because yeah, you're matched with a really great team, but then there's 2 other really great teams that you're competing against. Or your robot is just totally just, for whatever reason, there's gremlins in this system. So yeah, it's not likely with this group that's all playing, but I mean, I'm not going to say never. I think it's possible. Maybe, 7 matches.
I mean, and with the way the rankings are actually going to be determined, I'd say generally what we found is like when you play higher amounts of matches, it leads towards the teams that are actually scoring the most points continuing to be ranked high. Like once you get past our like 6-match like number at Texas Cup, we were having like up to 100-point gaps between the actual rankings. But for the sake of the fantasy draft, of course, I've picked the teams that I am confident and know will win me the entire thing.
They're going to be perfect, right? Tyler's
Exactly.
going to have to get you a big cookie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So
let's break that down a little bit more. We'll go into
yeah.
on here where we think some of the teams are going to net based on their values that they had, and where the best values are based on what points we think team. And when I say we, the predictor that cranked this out on here. So with that said, right now we're looking at what the price point is, how many points the predictor is looking at, and then what is their points per dollar on here, which there is no way this part is fully correct. I don't know why it says 1.00, but we can look at it up based on that. Weird stuff happens. So right now, I just took with my $200 looking at the match schedule where to be. This is the my Tyler's ultimate pick'em team list that I came up with on here. So I have 12-5-1-8, 6-1-6-5, 12-3-76, 12-6-11, and 15-9-5-9, equaling $200 on there. So. Peter, let's start with you, Mr. I'm the most amazing fantasy draft person in the world. What's your team list that you had?
So I had 16-8-9-6. They were my big money pick. And then I had 18-2-4-6 Delta V, who I typed on the Discord a while ago that I thought they were going to win MTI. Maybe not as a captain, but as a pick. I genuinely think that they are like being quite underrated. They're like $50 on there. And then like you, I also chose Yoke. I have been saying throughout the whole show, Yoke is like the most undervalued, underrated team. They will mess some people up. They're going to play some good games. We'll see what happens.
All right, Ishan, you want to go through yours?
Yeah, I think my big money pick was Brainstormers. I don't think I can bet against them, right? They're just so good, right? And it's been year after year. They always get to like MTI finals. They always get to like Worlds finals. They win Worlds a lot of the time. I just couldn't bet against them. So they were my big money pick. I picked Wizards because I think they're undervalued. I picked 5064. They're also undervalued. A lot of these teams, their last OPR was March, right? And so I tried to find teams that played last in March because I know they're going to do exponentially better than teams that played in like April, May.
Yeah.
And they're going to have that jump, but the price is not going to reflect that. So that was a big thing that went into my picking.
All right, Egan?
Yeah. So
did you do a pick list?
I did do a pick list. So of course I have to have Out of the Box on there. They're my go-to. They've been at MTI every year. They know what they're doing here. And I think they'll be able to essentially lead they'll be able to lead their alliance into getting a MTI win. You know, they've been on the podium before as a first pick, but not as an alliance captain. So I think this is going to be their chance. On top of that, you know, we've got other teams like Yoke. You guys talked about plenty enough. You know, Yoke being undervalued solid pick, and then Cruise Control with all of the in-person play that they've done recently, and again the experience that they have being at Worlds and other off-season events, really put them squarely in a top tier position, even though they're only at $55 on the pick'em.
Only for something like that. All right, Ingrid, who do you got on your list?
My list is not complete.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Finish my
you did tell me that.
Teacher.
My apologies. So.
But I do want to I am going to put Delta V on there for sure. I just haven't completed my list. I like to look at the history of how teams have developed throughout the season. Maybe not like, you know, because you change out your students from year to year, but I like to see how they work with other teams and such. And just see how they have iterated their robots throughout the season. So I've got a lot of research to do. I think I'm going to dig into this a lot more than I probably care to give, but I'm going to still do it. I'm going to give it a shot. So we'll see if I can earn that cookie.
And I would say, I'll be honest, the FRC pick'em that I got fourth in, I just picked random teams, and the one I cared about, I got 36th. I like the one I did homework on, I got 36th. The one I picked random, I got fourth. So I don't know. Honestly, picking random teams has worked better for me so far.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. So we'll see how this works out. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a dice roll.
Yeah, I do want to mention, by the way, for those I know asked in the FTC Discord at one point, now that you've seen the match schedule, if you created a team draft prior to the match schedule being released, you are allowed to create a second team if you want. So we'll just take it by the time code that you submitted. So if you submitted one before the show started here today and you want to submit a second team to get that second chance, by the way, I do real quick before we talk about final predictions and wrap up here. Where is it? I do want to show up a couple of the goodies that we have for the winner. And it's going to be kind of a mix. So we're going to give a couple of these away. Otherwise, Discord has sent us some cool swag for things. So I think the top prize here is going to be a Discord pin. I'm going to put myself on full screen so we can look at that one second. So check this out. This is pretty cool. So Wampus pin. Pretty nice. And then we'll send maybe a couple. I got a couple others we'll be giving away as well too. Get a Wampus on board, sticker, a couple other Discord, cool stickers. There we go. My wrist doesn't turn that way, but there we go. So some other cool Discord stuff that we'll send you some swag and a fun T-shirt as well too if you don't have one. And then we got probably on our Discord we'll be giving away some other Discord swag later on as well. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. Hop in our Discord occasionally, and we'll be doing some giveaways on there. So good luck to everybody with your fantasy picks. We will be tabulating that after MTI. This won't be a live tabulation, unfortunately. If anybody knows Java, I think it is that we have it under, we could definitely use some help translating the GitHub account that's been created for FRC over to FTC as well. So please let us know if you're interested in that.
Yep. Throwback to first MTI, Out of the Box and Wizards got together. I think they were our second pick, but it was also the Snake Draft. We were the fourth Alliance captain, so we picked them and Robotic Doges back to back, and that was a ton of fun. We took it to 4 matches in the semifinals. Anyways, last thing I wanted to ask you all before we end for the night: winning Alliance predictions. You get 2 to 3 teams. Who are you saying winning Alliance? I'll go first. I got Brainstormers getting with Brainstem. They always get together, and then I'll put Delta V as my third.
Yeah, that's you sprung this on us too quick, Ashan.
Yeah.
Just to be contrarian, I guess I'll say out of the box. I'll say Yoke, of course, and I don't know, maybe Black Forest with that simultaneous rolling intake and 6-wheel drive bot.
Yeah,
Egan?
I think out of the box. Out of the box. They're my pick. Out of the box and Brainstem, I could totally see getting together to make up Alliance. Not super sure on a second pick there, but those two I think will be a pretty solid powerhouse for making their way to the podium.
Great. And Ingrid?
Yeah, I really don't know. I feel like it's either going to be Yoke or Delta V, or maybe they'll pair together. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know for a third one.
And it's crazy, right? The deck is so stacked with this competition, right? There are so many good teams. Right, we haven't even mentioned Primitive Data. We haven't talked about 5064 Aperture.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about half the teams on this list.
Yes,
it's going to be a crazy competition, and I'm super excited for that.
I think the crazy thing is going to be what teams don't make it in. By the way,
Agreed.
After line selection gets done, you're going to be like, how the hell do these 8 teams that all of us have been so hyped on didn't make it in the playoffs? And I think that can be just as much of a story as who did make it in.
And it could just be an oversight, they did some serious changes on their robot, or we're looking at other ones for so much. But it's going to be interesting to find out who just pops up and we go, oh yeah, that would have been a great one.
A couple comments from chat, by the way, on their predictions, and I haven't vetted these, so I don't know how realistic they are. Bra Moment saying 18253 with 12599 and 16896. McWolf.
Right,
04.
overcharged.
There we go.
Yeah.
McWolf with Brainstormers, Beachbots, and Delta V. And Poofy Jack is saying Delta V, BFR, and Primitive Data.
Ooh.
Right. A lot of ways that this could actually go down, and the snake draft's just going to make it a lot more interesting because that second pick is going to be so critical. All right, Ingrid, want to lead us out?
Yes. Ooh, I scrolled up too much. Hold on a sec. I was looking at the teams. All right. Well, thank you all for the follows and subscriptions we have received today. Don't forget that you can subscribe for free if you or your parents have an Amazon Prime account. We hope you enjoy this episode of FTC Recap. If you want to stay connected with what First Updates Now FTC is doing, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram @FunFTC, and find our Discord through the link in the chat.
On behalf of myself, Egan, Peter, Ingrid, and our producer Tyler working behind the scenes, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you in a week and a half at the MTI event.
We would like to thank our friends at Stryker for supporting this video. Stryker is looking for current and future FIRST alumni to join their internship program, and FIRST mentors who are looking for a great career with a company who actually supports their FIRST journey. Go to careers.stryker.com to learn more. You can also directly support Fun by joining Fun Nation. Click the join button, and just for a few bucks a month, you'll unlock special perks and directly support us so we can keep making great content. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on our new videos. Keep the conversation going and provide your input to our content. Watch our live shows at twitch.tv/firstupdatesnow. Join our Discord at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow, and check out Fun FTC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and First Updates Now on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.